Hello, welcome back to Solo Strategic Playthroughs. My name is Jeff, and once again I'm continuing my Gloomhaven 2nd Edition campaign. When last we left off, the Gloomaniacs of Rita, Helo, and the Brain had gone off and dealt with an ambush, had found their way to the Temple of the Seer, part of the main storyline of the campaign, needed to regroup. We have completed both the quests we need to move on, but before they do that, I think I'm going to have them go in another direction. But first, we do need to resolve a city phase. And we were gifted with this lovely item, which I decided to give this one to Helo, since he is the one most likely to be up close with enemies and therefore able to poison them. And he could just bring this instead of the power potion. It's effectively as good as a power potion in most cases for him, because it'll give the +1 damage from the poison. Now let's take a look at the campaign tracker. You can see I've got 6 inspiration now, building that back up, having already spent 12 to unlock one of the classes. Actually, there's a class already unlocked, so I just got rewards for it. I've already marked off, as I intend to have all 3 characters donate to the Great Oak, so that gave me another tick on the prosperity track. I marked off the 6th time that I used imbuements, so still a little ways to go before we get to see what that unlock leads to. And you can see where my faction standings are at. The highest is the City Guard, and I've decided, before we get back to the main quest, I kind of want to wait on the main quest until people level up. Right now, I'm playing at difficulty level 4, which is on the harder end with where my characters are at. Not that I need it to be any easier, but I feel like for, what is likely a significant campaign event, kind of want to have everyone bumped up a little. So before I do that, I am going to work on one of the factions. I could also work on the merchant faction, but for reasons which I'll get into as I go over the characters, I've decided to side with the City Guard. And mainly that has to do with the Sawbones Helo, who his personal goal, he's looking to run for city council. And from what we hear, at least from the spy master of the City Guard, is that the merchants are planning to overthrow the city council. So what am I doing all this work for? Helo, if he's going to get elected, definitely wants to stop that. Speaking of which, you can see he's got 34 of the 30 votes he needs to attempt to get elected. I don't have to do that yet. I'm going to hold off a little bit longer. He's going to do his bit for King and Country, or at least for Mayor and City Guard. Not even sure who's in charge of Gloomhaven, but he is going to help out, help go on this investigation to see just what the merchant faction is up to make sure that they are not going to overthrow him. And then if all goes well, he'll run for city council next city phase. But he did, in the meantime, get up to level 6. So he got another perk and a new card. First perk, I kept it simple. Taking out a -1, putting in a +1. So now his deck is really focused on dealing damage, which is something he started to lean into, especially last game, and definitely enjoying. For Helo's level up card, I was focused on the level 6s between Amputate and Return the Favor. This was a pretty easy decision for me, going with Return the Favor. Couple of reasons. I love being able to give attacks to enemies, especially with Rita out there, being able to go through her attack deck more, being able to maneuver and position. Well, I guess the person has to have a prescription, so I can't use it on Steely Dan, her construct, but I can use it on her. And, well, again, just need to use prescriptions a little more, but that's kind of something I was leaning towards anyway in terms of increasing attack value. Also, I really like the bottom part of it, with the Brain handing out poison, sometimes poisoning his own enemies. Great opportunity to get rid of that poison and give it to the enemy. Also, 4 movement, so just a lot of good stuff in that card. Fairly decent initiative, so that's my choice. Next up, we've got Rita, the Quattral Soothsinger. Not a lot going on for her. She is saving up gold to be able to play an enhancement, probably on another character, probably on the whoever replaces Helo when he retires. So she's saving up her money. Was able to donate to the Great Oak using Helo's perk, so that was free. She did gain. Speaking of perks, she gained a perk, and I decided to replace her -2 with a different -2, but this one that allows me to bless 2 targets. Really the main thing, this is a nice ability, but my main thinking is I did not want to add any cards to her attack modifier deck. I want to keep it small and lean, maximize my chance of getting to her cards that keep songs in play. So that's it for Rita. Finally, we've got the Brain, the Harrower Plague Herald, who not quite there at a level yet. Both he and Rita will level up after this scenario. But for his perk, as he did get 3 check marks, is I decided to put in 3 copies of the card that lets him dole out poison. Especially good since I've been leaning more towards the direction of putting out Plague. So this will get poison more back into the mix, and poison is always a good thing to be giving out. And the other thing I decided to do with the Brain is to go ahead and get his first enhancement. I decided to increase the range of Festering Spores. I feel like this is a really good go-to card right at the start of the game. Get it on an enemy, then once an enemy with Plague dies, further spread it out. So it just seems like this would be worthwhile. Having that extra range could make a good difference. I did have to sell off my Element Potion in order to have enough money. I was 1 short otherwise. And I had already decided I wanted to get the enhancement, so I decided to go ahead with it. I wasn't really using that much, really just to potentially give myself better movement with the boots, but I think I'll be fine. And so that's going to do it for the Brains market phase. And he did spend the 10 gold to donate to the Great Oak, felt that was more important. But now we are ready to, I guess we don't really have to hit the road, because the next scenario is going to be in Gloomhaven. So you can see down in the southwest corner of Gloomhaven, we are going to be doing an investigation. This is going to be scenario number 18. This one is unlocked once you've reached 6 faction with the merchants and gone out of town to check up the disturbance in the mountain. We did do that quest. It didn't go any farther, but that was enough to unlock a couple of things, find out about the machinations. With this storyline, there are 2 things they're concerned about. There's the demons, and we'll get to them in their demon rift eventually. And of course, there's this plot, supposedly, for the merchants to overthrow the city council. So we need to find out more about it, and that is exactly what we're going to do, as my crew, now dubbed the Valor Guard, is going to go ahead and investigate and see what kind of dirt we can find on the merchants. So we are trying to find out where the corruption is in the city guard. As it turns out, a bunch of them are being bribed by the merchants. Terrible. Who would do things just for money? Certainly not upstanding mercenaries known as the Valor Guard. In any event, the Gloomaniacs here have agreed to help out. They need to find a weak link, somebody who will actually talk. And so we went to track this person down. And as soon as she realized we were following her, took off, pushed a couple in front of us, ran into a guardhouse. So no doubt we're going to have to face some people there. But as you can see from the description here, we're going to have to find this corrupt guard and take her out. But there are limitations on where we can go, as only one of the doors we can see so far is unlocked. So just taking a broader look at the map, which I've got laying out, this is the room where the corrupt guard ran off to, where we're going to be searching. These other 3 doors are locked. This one not even on the map, but I'm safely assuming it's there. So we're just going to have to make our way. Maybe I should have kept the ability for extra movement with my Gust Striders. We're going to have to do a lot of running around, potentially, although not everybody has to go in the door. We could just open it, see what happens. This is not necessarily my starting situation. I might move some characters around as I decide where I want to go first. But of course, even before I have to do that, I got to deal out battle goals. And this is going to be the last game. So if you've been following along and you've never seen me complete the same battle goal twice, because every time I complete a battle goal, I take it out of the mix. This has had the result of me getting fewer double check marks than I might have otherwise, but thought it's been a nice mix trying different things. This will be the last game I do that. There are only 10 battle goals I haven't completed, and so I won't even have 9 to deal out if I manage to complete 2 of them. So starting next game, I'm just going to shuffle everything up again, use the full deck. But for this game, limited options. Will I draw a plebeian again? Will I take it? Possibly. Let's start with Helo, who his battle goal going to be very easy to pull off. It's Conservator. I'm not going to be including any lost cards, so I can just turn my brain off for that one. I won't even have to think about it. In terms of, we've now reached the point in the campaign where it makes more sense for me to talk through the cards I am bringing and show you those. I might mention a couple I'm not bringing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through them in roughly the order I chose them. So give or take, it's not always that straightforward, but I do kind of do groupings where, okay, these are the must-have cards for this scenario. A lot of times I will just take all of my high-level stuff, but again, as you start getting higher, there are benefits to leaving out some of those cards, which might be more specialized, not to mention cards you can't get back with the stamina potion, right? So that's a factor in second edition that was not so much early on when you had the broken version in old Gloomhaven where you could get any card back. 2 cards, actually. Ridiculous. But just being able to get 1 level 1 means you want to make sure you include good level 1 cards, which not a problem. That's always going to happen. But going through the cards I chose for Helo, kind of the first and most obvious, Return the Favor. It's got good movement, which I'm going to need in this scenario, and it's my little level 6. Of course, I want to use that. Right behind that was Hack to Bits. Also, very good movement, good attack. Those were no-brainers. Then, since I do have Return the Favor, I want to be able to use that. Make sure I include a couple of cards with prescriptions. Vaccine, card I've been using pretty often anyway. Syringe, not all the time, but I do want to be able to give people more attack bonuses, especially if I'm going to be able to have somebody with a syringe, then give them a move 3 and attack 3. It's going to be a better attack. And then the last card from this batch is my No Doubter level 1, is Curative Mixture. It's my best initiative and just incredibly useful. So always going to be bringing that card. Now for the next batch of cards, First Aid, pretty meat and potatoes, but I like having that nice size heal. It's one of his better initiative cards, so pretty much also going to bring that one every time. Bloody Saw, not a card I usually bring, but since I am going to be making a point of trying to keep prescriptions out, it's a good option. As far as the bottom part, don't know how much I'll use that. I'm more likely to just use it for generic 3 movement with my boots. Hamstring, very good for being able to move around. One of my better attacks, single attacks, so bring that. Blood Transfusion, again, great card, higher level. And finally, Battlefield Medicine, mostly for the move 5, but being able to occasionally throw out a disarm. These are all enemies that'll be susceptible to that. Certainly could be useful. Really only the significant card I didn't bring is the level 4 Do No Harm. It's a loss on top, which means I'm not going to be using it, and the bottom attack is nice, but better to have more flexibility, include cards where I know I'm going to be able to use either the top or the bottom. So for Rita, the Quattral Soothsinger, her battle goal, this is the easiest of the 3 I drew that I thought I could achieve, which is Weakling. She has to exhaust first, which means she'll have to exhaust. To that end, I am going to make sure that I bring a few lost cards into play. She doesn't have a ton, but there are other ways to more quickly go through your deck. You can take quick short rests. You can lose a card to prevent the damage you took from short rests. So just hopefully I'll be able to control the tempo at the end of the scenario, make sure she is the one to exhaust. Now, just quickly going through the cards I decided to bring for her. My first batch started with Thrilling Solo and Symphonic Medley. These are cards, certainly Symphonic Medley is a lost card. Let me get my songs into play. I really like being able to generate a note with the movement on Thrilling Solo and eventually get that into play combined with Dissonant Rhythm. The other 3 cards are all ones I jumped on right away. because they let me move my allies around. And I just think, especially in a map like this, where I'm going to be all over the place, that can definitely come in handy. For her other 6 cards, of course, Increased Cadence, an Opportunity, and Provoke Terror, both other lost cards I can get in there, so might as well take advantage. Dissonant Rhythm, I'm always going to bring. That's, again, my favorite song of hers, and really useful pairs with other stuff here. Wearying Chant, make sure I have a good 2 in there for when I do get to put a bunch of cards into play. Certainly a no-brainer to bring Echoing Aria at this point. I need her to loot more. That is her goal, is to get money, so I'm going to be a bit more mindful of that. Hopefully take advantage of that. But those are the cards. Probably among the cards I didn't bring, the most difficult to cut were Power Ballad, which I really like. Also has some good movement, but not that she's lacking for movement. And another good movement/song card is Ode to the Gambler, but just because in trying to work towards that battle goal and the choices I made, didn't make the cut this time. Last but not least, we've got the Brain, who this game is going to be the Acrobat. This one, pretty easy to do in terms of having to lose a card, because I know there's damage traps. Those traps, since I will be at scenario level 4, do 6 damage. So I just, if need be, just have to walk into a trap and lose a card. For the cards I am bringing for him, of course, I'm going to bring my newly upgraded Festering Spores, along with Biting Gnats, another key card for getting the plague out there. Blistering Buboes and Path of the Pox, love that combo. So much good stuff that can be done with both sides of those cards. So those were no-brainers, as was Nightmarish Affliction. Just really like being able to get that in play to do the extra ranged attacks. And going quickly through his other 5 cards, Rabid Bite, of course, with the 5 movement, very useful, and also, again, still fun potentially to do that big attack, having one enemy attack another. Vile Pestilence, again, keeping that, especially with moving around. We may not stick around to engage all the enemies. They may be spread out. Being able to attack them from across the board could be really useful. And the move 4, Rot Maggots, my best straight-up damage attack card, so certainly going to bring that. Spread the Plague, could have gone a couple other directions with this one, but I do like that one. These tend to be enemies, knowing the ones that I'm fighting, guards, hounds that stack up, so being able to have one hit the other certainly seems like I'll be able to do that. And then the one card that I do not often bring is Contagious Corpse, in part for the low initiative, a little bit better movement was kind of my thinking there. Ready to start round 1, and even though I don't know where there are enemies, what I'm facing, it's not a very big room that I'm going to be opening up over here, so I'm going to be very aggressive. I am going to have Helo go first on 19 so that he can move right up next to the door, not into it. He'll also be able to give out a prescription before he goes on the move. Then I'll have Rita go, and as was pointed out by Dwarf74, I can indeed, and I think I've done this before, you can grant somebody movement and have them open a door if it's a character. So that is what I will do. I will give 3 movement to Helo so that he can open the door. He'll still have a couple extra movement to decide what he wants to do, see what the enemies do, whether or not he wants to use that attack or retreat out. And then I'll be able to have Rita get a bunch of songs into play. And finally, for the Plague Herald, I've got him queued up with his extra range. I'm also mobilizing Measure. We'll be able to get him 2 spaces closer, so he should be able to target an enemy. And also get down Nightmarish Affliction. So that is the plan. Let's start things off. Helo will kick things off with the Syringe, which he will give to Rita. Since I think the Plague Herald might burn through those a little bit too fast, although she may end up burning through them pretty fast as well, as I might be putting Thrilling Solo into play round 2. But finishing out Helo's turn, he's got 4 movement, so 1, 2, 3, 4 puts him right in front of the door, and that's his turn. Now Rita's up, and I actually do want to do Symphonic Medley first, because since I already have a note into play, the one I start with, each time I put a song into play, I will lose that note, and then of course from my perk, gain it back. So that way I've still got that note, and then I can get a second one when I play my other action. So for the 3 cards I'm putting into play, you probably could have guessed this one. It is my favorite trifecta, mobilizing measure to be able to move people, wearying enchant to be able to disarm some enemies, and of course dissonant rhythm to be able to get in some attacks and some nice damage. So we'll put those 3 cards into play. Then Rita will go ahead and activate Call to Action, which will give her a base note. So now she's got a treble and a bass. And she will grant 3 movement, of course, to Helo, the first of which will open the door. So we open the door only to have meat thrown at us, which some bemusement until we realize that we are in the kennel for the guards, and all of these rabid hounds are after their lunch, which I guess currently Sawbones is holding. There is also an elite scout in here who is the informant. In order to trigger the next happening, we have to defeat the scout. So no other doors unlocked yet. We're going to have to deal with these enemies, or at least the scout, but I'm feeling we're going to deal with the hounds as well. Let's take a look and see what they're going to be doing. All right, here we go, drawing for the enemies. Not going for a while. We have the bandit scout on 35, just doing greed, so moving to get in melee. And then the hounds attacking, moving, and attacking. And that'll be after everybody else goes. So I do have an opportunity to kind of take a look over, see where they're going to end up, see where I want to end up. All right, so knowing that the bandit scout is going before the hounds is going to be really helpful, because he's just moving 5, or she is, the informant, and going to try and get in melee. So will end up next to me, occupying one of the spots the hounds would, and I'm going to be able to disarm another hound. So I'm pretty sure I can get out of this round without taking any damage. So Helo will use his 2 movement to move further back. The other thing is, since my target is to kill the informant, why waste my movement running in there when I can get everyone to run out to me? Now that I've got a good lay of the land, definitely seems like a good time to get Steely Dan into the fray. So he'll be able to attack next turn, increase the chances of me keeping my songs into play longer. The more attacks, the better. So that is going to do it for the main part of Rita's turn, and now she'll be able to use her song effects. And again, just a reminder, the item that I have been using to get Steely Dan out is the Power Core. I got that as a result of first going to the Arcane Library, scenario 88, and then later on a city event that came about as we researched the orb. So, with Steely Dan in play, as I said, time for her end of turn effects. I've got a move 2, I've got a disarm, and I have an attack with a push. So a lot of choices, different ways I can do things. So first thing, just to make sure that Helo doesn't take an attack, I will disarm hound number 1. I can disarm either one. They're both 6 away. So obviously I'll choose the hound that's going to move first. Disarmed, he'll still move into melee, just won't be able to attack. Then I'll go ahead and attack that one as well. I actually don't want to push an enemy because I want them to get as close as they can to me to all bunch up. So I will now be able to do what normally would be a 2 attack with 2 pierce. It will be a 3 attack thanks to the syringe. The attack coming against hound number 1, no special benefits here, not yet anyway, is just going to be a +1, 4 damage. Finally, with mobilizing measure, it's got to be ally closest to me. That's a tie. I can choose Steely Dan or the Plague Herald, so I will have the Plague Herald move a little bit closer to the action, as he will move up too, and that is going to be the end of her turn. Next up is the informant, who was trying to run away from us and probably still should be doing so, but she is a corrupt guard, cannot resist some coin, so we drop a bauble on the ground that looks valuable, turns out to be worthless, but she takes the bait, moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a choice in these last 2 spots. I'll have her move down here. Reason I'm doing that is so that when Steely Dan goes in, whose attacks I can't control, have him attack her instead of the hound, who has retaliate. Next up is the Brain, and first I'll have him put Nightmarish Affliction into play. One of these days I will use it for its top ability again, which is very nice, but not today. Then I'll do the Festering Sores. This is not an attack, so it doesn't gain the extra target, just one target. With the range 5, I do have the option if I wanted to get this guy all the way out here, but I want to put it on the Bandit Scout, not just because she'll get plagued and wounded, but next turn I'll be able to have her attack one of the hounds using one of the Plague Herald's cards, and that attack will make her take retaliate damage. Next up are the hounds with their sharp fangs, and I will definitely say any round you can face off against 4 elites and not have any of them attack is a very good one. So first, number 1 will move 1, 2, 3 up here, putting himself nicely in position to be attacked by Helo. Then this guy, there still is an open spot here. So, yeah, there still is a path to get adjacent to an enemy. So this one will move up into the doorway, which we'll remove for now. And then the last one will also make his way up. So 1, 2, 3. And that is going to do it for the enemies, and that is going to do it for round 1. Last thing that'll happen, of course, is all of Rita's songs will tick down, and she'll gain 3 more XP. A lot of options for round 2. This is where I settled, having the Plague Herald go first, where he'll be able to spread some more plague, also bring down some attacks of a couple of enemies. Helo will be able to attack a couple of enemies since one of them is already damaged, and not planning on moving, but being able to give advantage to an ally and also give disadvantage to the 2 enemies in front of him. And then finally Rita going a little bit later on 21, hopefully fast enough to be able to do plenty of damage, get Thrilling Solo into play. So let's see where the enemies are at. And probably the one miscalculation I made here is I probably should have given Rita 2 base notes so that she could play her 5 initiative, which generates a treble note on the bottom, have her go really fast, but we'll see how it works out. Didn't make a difference. Still going before the enemies. Nothing special for the hounds on 26. Nothing special at difficulty level 4 is still a 4 damage attack. Bandit Scout looking to move to and do ranged attacks. Don't know. Yeah, he might be able to do that. So I have to see if there's anything we can do about that. Of course, the Bandit Scout will have disadvantage, so he's not going to move, or she. And this is another round that could work out really well. I will kick things off with the Brain, who's going to be moving 2, and then Steely Dan is going to move into that other spot. So the 2 hounds in the back, don't even think they're going to be able to move up. So unless I kill somebody else, so that's fine. With that 2, now I just need to decide. I'm going to have the Scout attack. He's the only one who's plagued so far, so it's just a question of, do I want him to attack the undamaged hound or the guy next to him? And actually, even before I do the attack, I am going to use the Scepter of Zorn, which I keep forgetting about, not this time, to go ahead and poison 3 enemies. This way, more importantly, I can get the 3 curses in the deck. So yeah, might I want to save it later for when I'm dealing with stuff with shields? Possibly, but I have plenty of other ways to poison enemies. So gone ahead and done that, and now I can go ahead and I will have this guy attack the other one, even though he's not poisoned. I realized it doesn't really matter because once somebody who has plague dies, I'm going to be able to spread it to a couple more people anyway. Okay, so I just realized before I use the Scepter of Zorn, I should do the attack first because I don't want to draw a curse when I'm having the guy attack, and the poison doesn't matter. I'm attacking a target without poison anyway. So he is attacking this hound for a 4 attack, +1 for 5 damage. And I realized I was not showing you the card I drew, but you could see a corner of it. There it is. And so that is going to knock the hound from 7 down to 2. Since the hound didn't die, that is 2 retaliate damage to the informant. and that is going to do it for the Plague Herald's turn. Also, the Hound is plagued, and the Brain gains an XP. So this is going to work out really well for Helo, potentially, as he's going to be attacking the Hound first and not going to have to worry about retaliate damage if he kills him. So we will start with Vaccine doing an attack against the Hound and follow that up with an attack against the Informant. Against the Hound, it is going to be a +2, which is 5 damage, more than enough to take that one out. No retaliate damage. Now it will be a 4 attack thanks to the poison against the other guy, and that's going to be a ×2. My goodness. 8 damage to the Informant. Now I do have 4 movement. I could move on to that coin, but better for a couple reasons to stay where I am, not least of which I do want to be able to give Steely Dan advantage. And then the other part of that is, as things stand right now, one Hound will move into that spot, Steely Dan will occupy the other space, and the second Hound won't move at all. Whereas if I were to move, that would clear out space for the Hound to move through its allies, then I'd be facing an extra attack. So we will just stay pat there. I will also muddle the Informant, who is having a very bad day, and it's only going to continue, though I have a feeling we're probably going to have to take her out more than once. Maybe not. Maybe we just have to do this once. We shall see, but XP for Helo for the attack, and that's the end of his turn. So now Rita's up, and so it feels so good to say it again, but before she goes, Steely Dan will go ahead, and he will move up and try to add to the world of pain this Informant has gone through so far. Of course, before I do Steely Dan's attack, I will go ahead and use the Ranger's Hood to look at the top 2 cards of the attack modifier deck. That is the card I'm looking for to keep my songs in play, so that's staying on top. The next card is a +1. I still want to cycle through the deck, so let's drop that down, get us closer to the other cards, although maybe Rita will draw them on her turn. It's fine. I'd rather move my way through the deck. So now we will go ahead, and this attack will be at advantage, though we already know which one we're going to do. It is either going to be that or a +2. That's a 3 attack, plus from the poison is 4. That's enough to take out the Informant, so and also ensure that my songs will not advance. And it's time to see what happens once we take out the Informant. Well, this is really interesting. Not going to have to defeat her again, most likely, though I suppose you never know. But as we defeated her, she pleaded for her life, said she didn't have a choice, yada, yada, yada. But she did do something smart, which was she's holding 2 keys. She dangled them out a window over the cliffside, over the water, and gave us a choice. That she'll give us 1 key, keep the other one as collateral. She'll drop them both if we try to kill her. So we get to choose. Do we want the key to open this door, which leads down to a larger passage here? This is their hideout. Or do we want the key to the vault, which is over here, where their loot is stashed? Now, the scenario does tell us, and we have to choose one, so we can only unlock one of the doors. It tells us that if we unlock the vault, that will result in a significantly more challenging and difficult and rewarding scenario. So you can imagine which one I am choosing. Yeah, we want the loot. There is no way that Rita would have it any other way. Greed, as they say, is good. So we are going to be going this direction, as we will take the key to the vault and see what happens. Of course, all that excitement happened on Steely Dan's turn. So now Rita gets to go, and she gets to grant an ally move 4, and do need to do that so she can get her other card into play. I'm actually, tempting as it is to move somebody on the loot, I am going to let the Plague Herald start heading in the direction he needs to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Send him down that way, and that will generate a base note, which will give me what I need to put Thrilling Solo into play. Oh, and one other bit of business, Festering Sores. I could leave it in play, but yeah, I'll go ahead and discard it to put plague tokens on the 2 surviving hounds. So, surviving for now, but let's see how quickly we can bring them down, as we are now at Rita's end turn, and she has lots of effects. She is going to be able to do, now with Thrilling Solo, this is her first attack, so she'll be able to do 2 attacks with Dissonant Rhythm. So both of these attacks will gain the benefit of the Syringe for a +1, and with Poison another +1, so a 4 attack. Probably going to go after the same one twice, but I can decide one at a time. First attack is going to be against this guy on the bottom, and that is going to be, wow, quite the run I'm having this game. That's 8 damage, knock it down to 3. Yeah, let's see if I can take it out with the next attack. It's going to be another 5 damage. That hound's dead. I will then disarm the other one and figure out who I want to give. I guess the 2 movement is going to have to be to the Plague Herald, so yeah, he can just keep making his way here towards the door. One other thing I'll do is I will go ahead and use the Master Lute, just backtracking to when she put her song into play. That lets me gain an extra note. So since I have to lose the other ones, I'm not even sure which way to go on this, but I guess I will grab a Trouble Note. Last up for the round is the Disarmed Hound, who is just going to move into melee, and I can choose either one, so I will actually have him go here, because I want Rita to be able to go up and move to that spot. So that is going to do it for the round. Now we can get ready for round 3 with just 1 enemy to deal with. So for this round, we're going to just keep things rolling along and get a chance to use our level 6 card, which is going to be very effective, hopefully, as I'm going to have Helo go on 8, and he will be able to attack the hound and then also allow Rita to move up, since she does still have the prescription. I want to make sure that he's going first, so she's still got Syringe. That's going to put her in a great position that she can go ahead on her turn and loot a bunch of coins. Not to mention multiple attacks coming in on the hounds, so we'll see how that goes. She's not going until 32. Before then, on 27, I will have the Plague Herald go. I gave him a move 5, so he can open the door and run if need be. He also got the ability to attack the hound from anywhere on the board, so planning on doing that. Let's see what the hound's doing and when it's hoping to go. All right, so for the hounds, it is going to be going on 7, but all they're doing is muddling. So there you go. Hounds up first. It is going to muddle both Steely Dan and Helo, and that will be its turn. Just a couple quick things before I get into Helo's turn. Of course, when I used the Scepter of Zorn, I would have had to poison the brain, so then I'll just have him go ahead and remove that poison with the Amulet of Life. Just forgot to do that, but the other thing is I wasn't even looking at Rita's cards, knowing that she was going to get a treble note this turn, so just switched that. When she got her extra note from her loot, I gave her a base note instead. All right, now we can start in with Helo. So first up, Helo is going to use Return the Favor, and he is hoping Rita will return the favor of the prescription by coming and attacking. But first, his attack, which will be a 3 attack, actually 4 with the poison, at disadvantage. That attack is going to be either a ×2, no, or, knowing my luck, yeah, all right, well, I was going to say my luck it'd be the ×2, but no, it's a miss. Even so, I will still take the 2 points of retaliate damage. Then he'll go ahead and grant Rita her move 3 and attack, and hopefully she can fare better, as she will go ahead. Here is a 4 attack, and that is going to be, yeah, not a miss, and she can strengthen an ally, so 5 damage. Might as well go ahead and strengthen Steely Dan, since he's coming up next. I guess I could also strengthen Helo. He'd have that next turn, but no, we want to move through our deck, draw as many cards as possible. And I just realized, of course, I do have vaccine in play, an active prescription for the +1 attack. I would not have been able to do that otherwise. So that is actually 1 more damage. So 6 damage, bringing the Hound down to 5. Now, Helo still has his movement. That was just his attack card. And given that I think I have things pretty well in hand here with potentially 4 more attacks still coming in, I am going to go ahead and have him move closer to the door. 1, 2, 3. And that is going to do it for his turn. Next up is the Plague Herald, who will start things off with Vile Pestilence, doing a 2 attack against the Hounds, +1 from the poison. So here we go. Going to be able to heal an ally, so we're at 3 damage, and a -1, so just 2 damage. I'll go ahead and heal Rita 1, who actually should have taken retaliate damage, forgot to do that. So she was down to 8, back up to 9. Now I've got 5 movement, so I'll go ahead and open the door. Well, wouldn't you know it? We got in the vault, and we set off the alarm. This is certainly full of treasure. There's 3 coin tokens and 2 treasure chests, and oh look, we found the traps. Probably going to be having, not that he's going to mind springing them, since he does need to lose health and then also at some point absorb damage to complete his battle goal. But that also resulted in this door opening, alerting several guards to our presence. Haven't opened this door yet. I'm assuming once we kill all the guards, I'm going to have to read something else, or once all the enemies are dead, have to deal with the hounds too, but they're not long for this world. Let's take a look and see what the guards and the archers are doing this round. Yeah, this actually is not too bad at all. The guards are just moving 2, psyching themselves up, and the archers not moving at all, staying in place. So now I really just have to decide what I want to do with my remaining 4 movement. All right, so with the Plague Herald, just kind of thinking ahead to what I'm doing next turn, going to want to do Biting Gnats, try and get some plague out so I can attack from a distance. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk through this trap, and I can always use my boots to fly over one next turn. This will move me into the vault. From here, I will still have line of sight on the space with the door, so I should be able to hit both those guards. So we'll walk in here, and that is going to do 6 damage, which I could prevent, but I'll just go ahead and take, since I need to be low on health anyway. And that will be the end of the Plague Herald's turn, and hopefully Rita won't get too upset that I'm taking the treasure. And I have gained a random item design, which turned out to be the Boots of Quickness. That is certainly something valuable Rita happily would have sold, but also could be quite useful for the Plague Herald, especially since he'll get to use it this game. I believe, I have to double check with the random item designs, do you actually get the item? I'll double check, it's been a while, but that is the loot from that chest, and I'll let Rita loot the other chest, if all goes well. Of course, she does also need to exhaust, which could work out. There's traps in here, she can walk in there and take damage and exhaust herself. We are going to have to deal with these enemies, though. Next up, of course, is Rita, which means Steely Dan first. Steely Dan is both strengthened and muddled, so a straight-up attack. It'll be a 3 attack, +1 from the poison, a 4, and ×2. So 8 damage, more than enough, only needed to deal 4. The Hound is dead, no retaliate damage. And that is going to work out very well for Rita, who is going to be able to loot all 4 coins using her loot ability. 2 attacks go by the wayside, as there are no enemies to attack within range, but her other attacks are going to take place. Now for Rita's end of turn, first up, she will use Dissonant Rhythm, and because of Thrilling Solo, she's going to get 2 attacks in, and she actually does have line of sight on the closest guard. Again, the door makes it seem like she might not, but you can go from the bottom of her hex all the way to the bottom of his hex without hitting a wall. So here we go. This is a 2 attack with 2 pierce, is going to be +1, so 3 damage. And then I could push him And I would do that so that I could then target the elite. But I do want both of these guys to be in range of the biting gnats. So I'm not going to push him. I'll just hit him again. And that attack, well, hopefully I'll hit him again, is going to be, yep, 2 more damage. So unfortunately, my songs are going to tick down. It did not get the card I was looking for. Last up, she'll disarm one of the guards. Doesn't really matter which one, as it's going to fade away. And she'll grant 2 movement to Steely Dan, who can get a little bit closer to the action. That's going to do it for her turn. Now the enemies are up. Guards are psyching themselves up, so the elite first will move into the door, and then the non-elite will make his way out closer to us. And that's going to be it for them. As we said, the archers, they're attacking at range 5. Nobody in range. They're not moving, so they are done. That is the end of the round. The only other thing for Rita, I do have to tick down her songs. She will gain 1 XP and send Wearying Chant to the discard pile. So into round 4, I've got the brain going pretty quickly, so he can fire off a couple of attacks and then move out of targeting range, ideally. And then for Helo and Rita, got them going much later in the round. Don't really have a choice with Rita. These are the only cards I've got left. No reason to use the stamina potion yet. Hopefully we'll see how things develop. Should still be out of range of the archers, but let's check out the enemies. All right, so the enemies going on 29-55. Right, just those 2. So a shoot foot, yeah, just going to be out of range. It is range 5 for the archers. The guards, again, psyching themselves up, only moving 2. Not going to have to worry about attacks from them either. So should be able to dole out some damage. So the brain will kick things off using biting gnats on both enemies. Not likely to be able to do much damage as they have shields, but can get the plague on them. To the attack on the non-elite first, this is going to be a 1 attack against 1 shield and no damage. Now the attack against elite, 1 attack against 2 shields is... alright, it's going to be a rolling modifier to let me get poison out, so that's good. And then also going to... So 0 total, no damage, but going to be able to get some extra plague out. So both guards are muddled. Doesn't really matter since they're not attacking this round. But I did decide to go ahead and put the poison and the extra plague token on the elite. He's going to be the harder one to kill. I could probably take out the non-elite this turn. So now the other thing is my movement. And I was kind of back and forth on where I wanted to end up. But I do think... because I want to maximize the number of attacks I'm able to do on Rita's turn so that I can try and draw into that card to keep my songs into play. I do want the guards to move towards the Sawbones instead of the Plague Herald. So I'm going to have him move just 1 away, but that will get him some loot and is also going to mean that the enemies will move over here instead of towards down here. Next up are the archers, who are looking to do a range 5 attack. Can't quite get there. This guy will go first. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, just missed. This guy will move up next. And then, look at them, nice and bunched up. That would be a perfect situation if Rita were going next and able to stun them all. But the guards are going to move before she gets to go. I could still stun all 3 archers if that's the way I want to go. But first... let's take care of the guards. So, with Psych up, he will go ahead and move 1, 2. We'll actually move him down here. So he's a little bit closer to the Plague Herald. And then the other guy will go 1, 2. Both trying to make their way towards the Sawbones. Neither getting there. No attacks. They are done. So now Helo's up and just kind of thinking how I want to proceed with this. I probably don't plan on having him go down into this room, so I'm just going to move him up to... I do want to attack the elite. So, because between Steely Dan and a couple of attacks incoming from Rita with Dissonant Rhythm, should be able to take out the non-elite. So attacking against the big guy, it is going to be a 4 attack. This will be +1 from the poison, so a 5 attack against 2 shields is going to be +1, so that's going to be 4 damage. Helo will also immobilize the guard, and then he will take 2 retaliate damage. Finally, we've got Rita, and this is probably what I'm going to do configuration-wise, but there's a possibility I might switch it depending on what Steely Dan does on his turn, so let's go ahead and do that attack. Steely Dan going to move 2, and we'll move him down here. And then he will go ahead and attack the non-elite. It'll be a 3 attack against 1 shield. And excellent. So it didn't kill him, only 2 damage, but my songs will stick around. All right, so now Rita's up, and I think I am going to go with the configuration I originally set forth. This way I can have Steely Dan do an attack. Part of my thinking was if I needed to dig through my deck to get my attack modifier to keep my songs in play, don't. That's already there. But nevertheless, I do think it is better off using my 2 pierce attacks on the elite guard from a ranged, so I don't have to take the retaliate damage. So, that said, I'm going to go ahead and move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is going to put me in range so that I can then give a 4 attack to Steely Dan against the non-elite. Once again, just against the 1 shield. Yeah, that's going to do the trick. Also stun, but not necessary as the non-elite guard is defeated. That'll do it for her main turn, and now for her end of turn abilities, I will be able to use Dissonant Rhythm, and with Thrilling Solo out, going to be able to use it twice. So 2 attacks against the elite, unless I get really lucky and only need 1, but it is going to be a 2 attack +1 from the poison, so a 3 attack with 2 pierce for the first one. Well, I got really lucky, so that is 6 damage, and the elite guard is dead. That being the case, we'll go ahead and throw the other attack at one of the archers, the one on the bottom. So again, this is just a 2 attack with 2 pierce, and it is a miss. Glad they came out in that order, and I guess it wouldn't have mattered if it had been the other way around. So either way, job well done for Rita. Last but not least, she does have mobilizing measure where I can move. I guess it's got to be Steely Dan. So I have to decide, yeah, might as well move him up so that he can go up and bum rush the archers next turn. That will do it for a very effective round 4. Did not expect to be taking out both of the guards, so we are well on our way, and time to plan things out. I am going to have Rita take a short rest so that she can keep things going. And actually, just a slight tweak to Rita. I actually, because she's only got 2 items in the discard pile, and since I knew she was taking a short rest, I could have had Steely Dan move up here and then use her boots to move 1 more space there, since she's going to be able to get them back anyway. As with her short rest, I am going to use the Moon Earring, which will let me get back a whole bunch of stuff. The Master's Loot, the Ranger Hood, and the boots, which I just used. And for a short rest, the card she would have lost would have been Echoing Aria. Do not want to lose my loot card, so I took a damage, and instead I'm losing Call to Action. And just a couple of quick corrections as we go into round 5. I actually realized I did need Rita to be over here so that she could have line of sight on the enemy she targeted. Potentially I could have attacked a different one, but I think better to keep her in a place where she can see all of the enemies. The other thing is I forgot that she, even though she missed the attack, she does get to push, so I push the archer back 1 just to give myself some space so I can potentially get another ally in there to attack rather than just clog up the door. I'm going to have her going really fast on 5 so she can go ahead of the archers so that Steely Dan can get in there, do an attack, and then potentially either mobilizing, well, I'm going to have to mobilizing measure on Helo, but I'll be able to move him closer so that potentially he can get in there. He's going to be going on 25. Got an attack queued up. And not much I'm going to be able to do with the Plague Herald, most likely, since positioning isn't really great here. So he's probably going to be out of action for a couple turns. Get some loot. He'll take a long rest. But that said, let's check out when the archers are going. We're going on 5, 25, and 69. Nice. So City Archers, 64. And just doing a power shot, so not moving. Pretty big attack, though. 4 attack, range 5. Range doesn't really matter. My people are going to be up in their faces. Rita will kick things off, which of course means Steely Dan will move into the door and attack one of the archers with a 3 attack, and I will go ahead, having taken a short rest and gotten some of my items back. I will go ahead and use the Ranger's Hood. So taking a look at the top 2 cards, it is either a +1 or +1. Neither will keep my songs in play, so those both go to the bottom of the deck. The attack instead is going to be still a +1, so that's 4 against 1 shield is 3 damage. Now for Rita, the first thing I'll do is put Wearying Chant into play, and of course I've got an extra note, so I'll lose that, but with my perk I will get one back, and I'll get back a base note. So I'm actually going to use Echoing Aria for movement, just to get myself in a better position for next turn. So I'm going to go ahead, though. I do want to be able to get back into play Dissonant Rhythm. So I'm going to use the Master's Lute to, having played a song, to generate a treble note for myself. That way, if I do need to get Dissonant Rhythm back, I can do that with the Stamina Potion and then put it back into play next round by playing a bass note on the bottom of another card. So with the 2 movement, that'll get me here, and that will do it for the main part of our turn, and now I can go ahead and do my end-of-round effects. So first up, I'll start with the attacks from Dissonant Rhythm. There's no real reason to push the enemies away at this point, since they've got such long range. I might as well have them attack at disadvantage. So attacking against this guy, who's already been hit before, I try and hit him again. It is going to be a 2 attack times 2 for 4 damage. That'll bring him down to 1, and of course, because there is Pierce on that. And now the next attack is going to be +1 and strengthen an ally, so that's going to take him out, and I will go ahead and strengthen Steely Dan. I'll then go ahead and disarm this archer, and finally with Mobilizing Measure, I will give Helo 2 movement so he can get closer to the action. Now Helo's up, and I'm just going to use a generic move 2, and nice it was as it would be to get the coin. I do want to attack this guy since I have the potential of disarming him, and also, if he does attack, want to make sure it's at disadvantage and that it's targeting Helo and not Steely Dan. So after the 2 movement, I'm actually going to go ahead and use my Remote Attack Spider. Thank you, Wako, for your gift. We will field test it for you. Well, it's going to poison both of the enemies, but it's also going to poison Steely Dan. Not to worry, because now I'm going to go ahead and attack, and if I can manage to do some damage, I can do a blood transfusion and get rid of the poison. It's going to be a 3 attack +1 from the poison, is a 4 attack against 1 shield. That'll be 5 for 4 damage, which means I get to heal Steely Dan for 4, which just gets rid of his poison. Now the archers are up. One guy is disarmed. The other guy is going to attack. A 4 attack with disadvantage. No reason to use the armor since it already is at disadvantage. And, well, there you go. It is going to be a miss as we drew a curse. Or a 0. Yep, we'll take the miss, and that is going to do it for the enemies. Lastly, we'll finish it out with the Brain, who's not going to be doing much. I'm just going to move him onto a coin, generic move 2. He will loot, and that will be the end of the round. And unfortunately, Rita's songs are going to tick down. And again, I did said Dissonant Rhythm, just jumping back to Rita's turn. I'll let it go during her turn so that I can use the Stamina Potion to get it back. Last turn for the round, Helo needs to take a short rest, and he ended up losing Syringe. For round 6, I'm going to have the Plague Herald long rest, while Helo and Rita and Steely Dan see if they can finish off the archers. All right, here we go, and the archers going on 29. Steely Dan will kick things off by moving up, and go ahead, and he will do a 3 attack +1 from the poison. And this attack will be at advantage since he got blessed last turn, or strengthened, I should say. And so either a 0 or a +1, so that is going to be 5 against the 1 shield for 4 damage. Now for Rita's turn, I don't actually think I'll need Steely Dan there anymore with 4 more potential attacks coming in, so I'm going to give him the 4 movement to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'll generate a bass note, which I will then use to put Dissonant Rhythm back into play. Then for her end of turn effects, I'll use Mobilizing Measure to get Steely Dan that much closer to our ultimate destination. And then I will fire off an attack at the only enemy I can see, which is this guy. So that will be a 2 attack plus 1 with the poison is a 3 attack. And here we go. That is going to be plus 1, strengthen an ally. So that's going to be 4 damage with the pierce, which I don't believe is optional. I would prefer not to take the enemy out so I could draw another card. But alas, we will take the result. He is eliminated. And just to kind of make sure that I finish the job, I will go ahead and strengthen Helo. Also, gains, not a targeted effect, does not need line of sight, I do not believe. So, or maybe it does, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be killing the other guard. But if I could, then I would disarm him. Moving on to Helo, he will go ahead and do a 3 attack, plus 1 with the poison, at advantage. I don't even have any minuses in my deck, other than the -2, I guess. But yeah, either a +2 or +1. So that enemy is dead. And then I will go ahead and use my other card to safeguard myself and loot 1, picking up 3 coins. Last but not least, the Plague Herald will long rest. I'll choose to have him lose Spread the Plague. I'd rather keep my move 3 and better, as I still have a lot of ground to cover. And I will not heal. I'll keep him at 3, working towards his ultimate personal goal. And he will get his amulet back. Also, one other note, when he did his range attack earlier, even though there was no extra target, should have ticked down Nightmarish Affliction, so he gains an XP for that. Into round 7, and not a very exciting round. We're going to have to make our own excitement, as there are no enemies. My songs are going to expire. There's not much to be done for it. But we will go ahead and go through character by character. Plague Herald will lead off, and I should have mentioned that upon killing all the enemies, there was a passage to read. I was able to retrieve a key off of them, the one that the scout held as collateral, or the informant, and now the other door is unlocked, so I'll be able to head down to the bandits' hideout. But first, starting with the Plague Herald, the Brain is going to just start making his way out of here with a move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Though I realize he still needs to take 4 damage, so I think what I'm actually going to do is I will have him go through this trap. So 1, 2, 3, 4, same result. He is going to have to lose a card to deal with that damage. At this point, I'm not even sure where to go, but I'll go ahead and lose Festering Source. Top card is wasted, but the good news is that the Brain has now completed his battle goal. Next up is Helo, and I could flip things around and give the Plague Herald a med pack, but Plague Herald's not interested in healing himself. I should be healing Helo, though, so he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go ahead and heal himself for 4. Finally, Rita sees treasure, and she's just going to go for it. I don't know when I'm going to get an opportunity to do this again. So she's going to do 5 movement plus her boots to give her +1. So that's 6 movement. And she will go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, she is springing the trap. She will just eat the 6 damage. Or I guess I could lose a card. Either way, I'm just going to have to make sure, again, that I'll be the first to exhaust. Multiple ways to do that. I could just let an enemy attack me, take the damage. So 6 damage her, going to knock her down to 2. But I do get to see if this treasure was worth it. Wow. Yeah, that was worth it. Oh, by the way, and you'll notice I have not used the other item. I did double check. When you get an item design, you do not get the item. It just goes into the available supply. So nice item that costs 45 gold that maybe somebody in the future will pick up. However, in this other treasure chest, Rita has found 30 gold. So that is fantastic. That is going to be quite the boost towards her retirement goal. Nothing she can do with the top card, unfortunately, so no notes gained. Her songs will tick down, which means she'll not gain any victory points yet. And since she's probably going to need to take a rest, it'll actually be a long rest, so I guess in that situation, maybe I'll be able to tick down. Yeah, I'll be able to let the other one tick down first, but that is going to do it for her turn. That's going to do it for the round. So for round 8, Rita is going to go ahead and long rest, and then I am going to have Helo be the one to open the door, and then later in the round will be the Plague Herald. So we'll kick things off with Helo and his movement. He is going to do the move 6. The safeguard is going to make sure that he is not immobilized, and he will go 1, 2, 3, 4 into the door, and let's see what we find. So we have walked in, and they are in the middle of a card game, but they are quick to their feet and ready to fight. We've got 3 normal guards, 2 elite archers. We have to kill them all before we can unlock the next door, so let's see what they're going to be doing. And the archers are doing a hasty assault, moving 3, attacking range 4. City guards are throwing fire. Moving 2, attacking 3 at range 2. All right, so a lot to figure out in terms of where I want to end up. They're both going to go before my other 2 get to go, so that's something to take into account. All right, going to try not to overthink this one too much. Definitely don't want to run into the room where I will get attacked by everybody when I can run out of the room and only get attacked by the archers. So I'm going to go, I have 2 more movement. It took me 4 to get there, and again, not immobilized, so 5, 6. That is going to do it for his turn. No top attack, but now the enemies will go. With the hasty assault, the archers will go first, starting with this guy, who is going to go 1, 2, 3, so that he can get within range, and from this corner to this corner, he can attack without hitting a wall. So that is going to be a 3 attack with 2 pierce against Helo. Might as well save my armor for an attack that doesn't have pierce. So first attack straight up is going to be 3 damage. Then the next guy is going to have to move outside, going 1, 2, 3, so that he can get in range. And he will go ahead and also do a 3 attack. That is going to be +1, 4 damage. Next up will be the city guards, who only have a range 2 on their attacks and only 2 movement. So I guess actually, yeah, I was wrong. This guy is going to be able to get outside. So first this guy will move up 2. Then this guy can get a little bit closer by moving here. And then last but not least, this guy will go outside, where he will be able to do an attack. It's another 3 attack. This one does not have pierce, so I will use my armor here to give it disadvantage and 1 shield. It's either going to be a -1 or poison. Yeah, we'll take the -1 as well as the shield, just 1 damage. Next up is going to be the brain, and danger zone, only at 3 health, but we're going to move him right up into the action so that he can go ahead and do rot maggots against both archers. Those being the elites seem like potentially the bigger threats, so I will have to poison somebody to do that. I will poison Helo and then go ahead and do a 4 attack against both elite archers. All right, first attack will go against the closer one, is going to be a 4. Wow, that is very timely. +1 and a stun, so 5 damage to that guy, and he's poisoned. Now the Rot Maggot attack against the other one, again, that second attack coming from Nightmarish Affliction, is going to be, ×2. So that is going to be 8 damage, clubbing in clutch. Going to knock him down to 2, and he is also poisoned. I actually forgot that both of these guys have 2 shields, so not quite as much damage, but still doing pretty well. Can't complain for that. That is going to do it for the Brain's turn. Actually, the one other thing I'm going to do on the brain's turn is I will go ahead and let him heal back 1 health. Last up is Rita doing her long rest, but before that happens, Steely Dan will move in. He will attack the archer, since the archer has the lower initiative, and that is good news, because it is poisoned, going to be able to get some extra damage in. 3 attack, +1 from the poison, so 4 against 2 shields, and wow, another ×2, so that is 8 against 2. Not quite dead, though. Gonna knock it down to 1, but it is stunned, which is actually kind of good because it'll be taking up some space. For Rita's long rest, she'll gain 2, back up to 4. I will let Wearying Chant go, and she'll get all her items back. For round 9, I've got everyone going super fast, so I can work on getting Rita back into the action. She'll be able to get out Mobilizing Measure, which should help me move some people around, get Helo in position to attack, and hopefully be able to take out that stunned archer. Although I guess it depends if the archers or the guards are going first, who Steely Dan will attack. But either way, have that attack go off nice and quick. Going to be able to start getting a whole bunch of plague out. So, as well as heal, a lot of good stuff happening this turn. But as always, have to see what the enemies are doing and how that might change my plans. 8, 8, and 14 with Rita going before Helo, and for the enemies, slower than that. City Guard just parrying and thrusting, which is, okay, they're not doing it until after Rita goes, so don't have to worry about that retaliate damage. City Archers, nothing special. Trick is going to be killing, I don't have to worry about killing the stunned one. I'm not sure there's anything I can do about the other, unless I get creative, but let's see how things go. Since Rita's going first, she's got the lower second initiative. She's 8 and 60 compared to Helo's 8 and 79. That means Steely Dan will go ahead, and much as I would like him to take out the archer, although, again, it is stunned, so not a priority, either way, he's going to go after the guard. That's the lower initiative. The guard has 1 shield, has not shielded up yet, so just the 1 shield for this. And before I attack, do I want to hold on to the Ranger's Hood? Wait until I've actually got songs in play? I mean, I will have a song in play. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and use it now. Take a look at the top 2 cards. So either a +1 and a +1. Again, I'll move both of those to the back. I have better stuff in here. So let's go ahead now and do the attack. It's going to be, yeah, that's better stuff. Ish. I mean, it's -2, so I'm actually not going to deal any damage on this attack, but I do get to bless 2 allies, so that will be Helo and the Brain. Then for Rita's turn, she'll go ahead and move 4, not through the trap, 2, 3, 4. She will generate a base note, and then she'll use that base note to put Mobilizing Measure in play, and at this point, I am going to go ahead and use the Master's Loot to generate a note. So I decided to get a base note, got my eye on getting Dissonant Rhythm into play as quickly as possible within 2 turns, and that does need 2 base notes, so that'll take care of one of them. That'll do it for her main turn. End of turn, song effects is Mobilizing Measure, so I'll go ahead and move Helo, who's the closest ally, and he will move 2, 1, 2. Not that I want to attack that guard, although the guard still hasn't shielded up, so maybe I do. That is going to do it, however, for her turn. Alright, so now Helo's up, and I think my best bet this round is just hold off on attacking. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead, and I got multiple ways of getting rid of this poison. So either way, I will heal myself for 3, back up to 10. Then I will also have Helo safeguard himself, and that way when the Brain on his turn goes ahead and uses Nightmarish Affliction, I won't actually have to take the poison. And on top of all that, I also get a med pack. The med pack's a pretty good one. Heal 3 on the bottom and remove a condition. And of course it's got the heal 4 on the top, but definitely think I'm probably going to be using the bottom side of it. He'll gain an XP, and that's his turn. The one other thing I'm going to do is, even though I've got 2 cards in hand, they're not great initiative, 40 and 50, so I'm going to use my stamina potion to get vaccine back. That's going to let me go pretty quick next round. Plus, I'm also going to be able to both give the vaccine to the brain and then let him move 3 and attack 3. Speaking of the brain, he's now up, and first things first, I'm going to have him move 2 up over here in the corner so that he's still got plenty of range on everybody. He's got range 4, or range 5, I should say, with the biting gnats. And still next to Helo, so he can receive that gift next turn. Boy, I don't know how he feels about the gift of a vaccine. This is a very strange concept, but well, I feel like the Plague Herald would want to study that vaccine so he can figure out ways to overcome it. So he'll probably be very grateful for the gift. But meanwhile, he's moved to. This will reduce the attack a bit of the archer, as he is then going to use biting gnats. He will poison Helo, a gift in advance, that of course prevented by the safeguard, and then that will allow him to target 3 targets. And I think I will take a shot, see if I can't take out the poisoned guy, even though he's stunned. And then I will also attack the guard closest to me. We'll start with the attack against the guard. We'll just go right down the line. Just going to be a 1 attack with the biting gnats, and that is going to be times 2. All right, well, not the best, but that is 2. He does manage to get 1 damage in, so there is the bless. Thank you very much. Got him down to 8. He is, of course, also plagued and will be muddled, and now we'll go ahead and attack the stunned guy, and that is going to be a -1, so even, unfortunately, with the poison, he's got a couple shields, so no damage there. But he is now plagued, which means when he dies, potentially I can have him turn around and shoot at somebody. Last but not least, against the last poison guy, the other archer is going to be a 2 attack with the poison. +2 is a 4 against the 2 shields, 2 damage. And last but not least, I will use the Plague Herald's stamina potion to get the blistering buboes back, since I only have 1 card in hand, and this way he'll be able to go very quickly next round. Now the enemies are up. The guards, of course, are just shielding and retaliating, so nothing going on there. For the archers, we got the one that's stunned. The other one is going to be able to do a 4 attack with 2 pierce. His target is unfortunately going to be Steely Dan. There are a couple of positives, though. He is muddled from the biting gnats, so it'll be a disadvantage, and it'll be -1 from the blistering buboes. So here we go, a 3 attack. At disadvantage is going to be a miss and a +1. Those curses are coming in quite handy. Last thing for the round is Rita's song will tick down. She'll gain an XP, and we can move on to round 10. This should be a pretty good round because the Plague Herald is perfectly set up to take out both of the archers on his turn, and then potentially have one of them attack one of the guards. That's all just with 1 card, and then he's also got the movement, but really that's more just about him going as quickly as possible. Right after him on 15 will be Helo, who will be able to grant him another attack, plus give the vaccine. And then a little bit later, I've got Rita, who is going to work her way into the action, get set up to get Dissonant Rhythm into play, not this turn, but next turn. So things are looking pretty good. Enemy-wise, again, 14, 15, 21 for me, and for the enemies, city guards on 50, and city archers are not going to get a chance to do their power shot. The brain will kick things off with Path of the Pox, which is going to allow him to do 3 damage to this elite, which is just enough to kill it, and then 1 damage to each adjacent enemy, which is going to kill this guy, and do 1 damage to each of the others. Now, upon dying, I can go ahead and use Zorn's Propagation to have one of the dead archers go ahead and attack and spread the plague seems worthwhile, so that is what I will do. So now I said the archers were not going to be able to do a power shot. I just meant they weren't going to be able to do it at me. So technically, before this guy dies, that elite, I am going to have him attack. Actually, no, we want to spread plague. So even though I could potentially bring this guy down, what I'll do instead is I'll have it be the guy above him. So before this guy dies, he will go ahead and attack the guard at the bottom. So that will be a 5 attack with 2 pierce. And here we go. This guy's no longer muddled. That went away after his attack or his stun last turn. Speaking of muddled, oh, holy cow. So, yeah, 7 damage to this guard, and he's muddled. That was pretty crazy. I think that's the second time in a row now that with Zorn's Propagation, I have drawn the +2 muddle. Arguably the best non-times-2 card the enemy has in their deck. That, of course, being one of the imbuements. So, well, that's nice to know that potentially when I up to the even harder imbuements, potentially I can be drawing those on enemy attacks against themselves, or I don't know. We might have a whole new set of characters by then. In any event, it is now time for movement, and I'm actually going to just move him back over here. I do want to keep him, much as it would be nice to come down here, get some loot, although he doesn't even have enough to move. Right, all that said, it is now time for movement, and just to get him a little closer to moving down here, but I want to keep him next to the Sawbone so he can receive a gift. He'll just move 2 down there. And also, I will remember to give him an XP for that last attack. So now Helo is up, and first things first, he will go ahead and give the vaccine to the Plague Herald, who can play around with that and see what that's all about. And then he will be able to use Return the Favor to do a 3 attack against the guard right in front of him, and then grant movement. And yeah, I think the odds of my killing this guy are not too high. Even though it's not that big an attack, I am going to go ahead and use the stun powder now, just so reduce the amount of incoming damage. And that attack is going to be a base 3, -2, so 1, so no damage. So glad I stunned him. He does have the 1 shield, but I do get a med pack. So now I've got 2 med packs in hand. Don't need to rest just yet. Actually, I think I'm going to give the med pack to the Brain, since I definitely don't want him to exhaust before Rita. So I don't want him to exhaust at all. So there you go. That's the med pack he gets. And whether or not he uses it to heal or just for movement remains to be seen. But that is the first ability. Now I'll grant the Brain that 3 movement and 3 attack, which could be a bit risky, but sure. Let's send him down there. He likes risking. 1, 2, 3. He's going to move down here. And he is going to go ahead and see if he can take out the guy that he introduced to Zorn just recently. This will be a 3 attack, so just don't want to miss. Oh, +1, good enough. That is going to take him off the board. So another attack we don't have to worry about. And that is going to do it for Helo's turn. Rita's up next, which means it is time for Steely Dan to do his thing. No reason to move. He'll attack the stunned guy. Will be a 3 attack. And going to keep my songs in play. I would have rather drawn that next round, but good enough. 3 against the 1 shield is going to be 2 damage. That'll bring him down to 6. So slowly but surely. And now for Rita's turn, not a lot going on. She's just going to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Picking up plenty of loot this game. And for her top ability card, she will be able to bless 2 people within 3. Looks like that is going to be Steely Dan and Helo. And once again, by bless, I mean strengthen. One of these days, I'm going to get that right. Last but not least, she's got mobilizing measure up, so might as well have Steely Dan, who's the closest ally, move a little bit further in. So we'll put him there. I guess I could, you know what, we'll move him 1 more just in case. Give me some flexibility. And that is going to do it for her turn. That is going to do it for the round. Actually, no. The enemies still do get to go. So one of them is stunned, but the other guard is going to attack the Plague Herald. Well, being down to 4 health, this attack not having Pierce, I will use my studded leather armor to make this attack at disadvantage and give him a shield. So it is either going to be a -1 or a +1. That will be a -1, so a 2 attack against the 1 shield, just 1 damage. Last order of business, everybody's resting. Rita did not need to rest, but she did have cards in hand, only 3 in the discard pile, but I very much, in order to do what I want to be able to do next turn, I need to generate a base note on the bottom, want her to be able to move so she can position herself, so I did want to get back to Thrilling Solo, so I took the short rest. These are the cards I lost. The other 2 needed to take a short rest. They didn't have the cards in hand. In the case of the Brain, I drew Path of the Pox. Do not want to lose that card, so I took the 1 damage, lost this instead. This is going to do it for me for the night. I'll probably finish up tomorrow. No lapse in time for you, but just kind of where I'm thinking. I'm in pretty good shape in this scenario. I've just got 1 more room below here. The door will unlock once I killed all of the enemies, so just those 2 guards left to deal with. Hopefully should be able to take them down pretty quick. In terms of what I'm facing in the next room, I've already done the main things I want to accomplish by going to the vault, getting both treasure chests. Battle goal wise, really all I have to do is Rita, and honestly I can just send her. She's going to be moving into this room next turn, and then the turn after I can send her into the room, and if she dies, she dies. No, easy to make her the first exhausted. I just have to let her take damage. In terms of the scenario goal, I don't know what's in that room, but all I have to kill is the Corrupt City Guard. Don't have to kill all the enemies. So we'll see what's in store, but I do feel like I'm doing really well. I've whipped through a lot of this map. I've had some very timely ×2s, and we'll see how it goes when I pick things up in round 11. Round 11, and key here is I want to make sure I go before the guards. They've got a couple of different things they can do on 15, both of which not great. So by going on 14 or faster, in the case of Helo, who's going on 8, definitely will be able to get out in front ahead of them. The only downside is not really a downside, but ideally I'd have the Plague Herald going first, since he's going to be poisoning both enemies. Unfortunately, he's going to be going last because of the tiebreaker. But still think it's going to be worthwhile. Also, I mentioned earlier that I was going to have Rita strengthen Steely Dan, but of course that card, that ability, does not have to be an ally. So actually, just going back, I had marked off that she strengthened herself, so that's what I'll go with. She's the one who's going to be doing potentially the more effective attack, the one with Pierce. Now checking in on the enemies, as we say, the earliest they can go is 15, and it's going to be nothing special at 50. Helo will kick things off with 3 movement, as I'm going to have him move down and around over here so that he can then go ahead and will attack, I guess the Plagued one. That's also the one that Steely Dan is going to go after. So this will be a 4 attack with wound, since we do have prescription on the board, and we'll also gain an XP for that. Here comes the attack with advantage, so it is going to be 4 attack against 1 shield, so either a miss or rolling modifier. So in this case, I don't get to keep going with the rolling modifier. I just take this value as it is, so 4 damage, and I get to do a 3 heal, so he'll heal himself. And correction, that's a 4 attack value against the 1 shield, so 3 damage, but that does bring the guard down to 3, and he's wounded, so just need to do 2 more damage to be able to take him out on his turn. So now Steely Dan is up, and he is going to target this guard, since that is the only one he can actually get next to, and then he'll go ahead and do a 3 attack with advantage. And just need a 0 or better at this point. Ideally, keep my songs into play. Although I've already drawn one of those last turn. Here we go. The first attack is going to be either a ×2 or a +1. Either way, sure, we'll take the ×2. That is going to take the enemy out. Now for Rita, she'll start off using the bottom of Thrilling Solo to give herself 4 movement. And I will then go ahead and use her boots to give her +1. So 5 movement. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Land on this loot over here, which she'll get at the end of her turn. And then with that bass note, she now has the necessary notes to put Dissonant Rhythm back into play. End of her turn, she'll go ahead and attack this guard. And I'm realizing now I probably should have had Helo go after that guard instead of the other one, knowing where Steely Dan was going, because now the brain only has one target for his poison, although, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, let's see what Rita's attack is going to be. It's going to be a stun. So very nice. That is a 2 attack with 2 pierce, so 2 damage, and the guard is stunned. Then she'll use Mobilizing Measure to give the brain 2 movement. And even though he's sitting on a coin, better to get him closer to the door, so he will move back, not to mention also, well, he'll have his own movement. But this way, as I said, he can get that much closer to the door. I was actually thinking potentially he could open the door and have 2 targets, but the door is locked until I've killed all the enemies on the board. So now the brain is up, and he'll just get the 1 attack, no other target. He's going to poison Helo anyway, so I could poison Helo just for the fun of it, and then he'll be poisoned again. Sure, why not? Either way, I am going to tick this down, which is going to give him 1 more XP, and this is going to be a 4 attack, which is going to be 3 damage and poison. Last but not least, the brain does have 2 movement, so we'll get him right up next to the door so that when it is time, he will have a nice line of sight to the room to be able to do all sorts of plaguing. Finishing out the round, Rita's songs both tick down. She gains 1 XP for that. And ready to finish this guard off. Of course, the guard not attacking. He'll just get rid of the stun. So we'll go into the next round, hopefully finish off the guard, and then move on to the final room. For round 12, my goal here is to finish off this guard, having Rita going first on 21, so hopefully Steely Dan can take care of that. If not, she'll also be able to throw a ranged attack at it. Gonna have her give movement to the Plague Herald so that he can open the door. Should have only take 1 movement there, ample opportunity to move somewhere else if need be. Although that may put her in the line of fire. But again, she'll also, at that point, at the end of her turn, be able to use Dissonant Rhythm, so push the closest enemy back to, potentially. Then much later in the round, going on 70 and 72, I've got the Plague Herald, who's hopefully will be in a good position to dole out lots of plague and take control of an enemy. And then Helo, who's got actually 2 different options, both really good. Potentially, if there's somebody right by the door, he could run up and transfer his poison to that enemy and then get off an attack. Or if need be, he can do a 6 move and then attack and grant movement and attack to the brain. So lots of options depending on what we find on the other side of that door. But of course, it all starts with taking out this guard, and we need to see when he's going. In this case, 2 15s, the Venom Shiv, would be some damage to Helo, so I wouldn't love that, but I could live with it. The one that gives himself Retaliate, would not love that, but let us see. It is neither. He's going to be psyching himself up. If he actually lives, we don't intend to let him do that. So Steely Dan will move up and take his best shot, going 1, 2, and that will be a 3 attack plus 1 of the poison, so a 4 attack, just need a 0. A 0 that lets me keep my songs into play would be nice. Let's see. No, it's a ×2. So, all right, we'll take it. With the last guard dead, the door down here is unlocked. Time to find out what awaits us on the other side, find that corrupt guard so that we can take him down and deliver justice. And it is going to be granting 4 movement to the brain. So here is the situation, as apparently one of the guards got away, died as he was running to open the door. The leader of the guards, the corrupt guard, which is the guy down here, cried out, "This ain't over yet. Take him out, feed him to the dogs." And very amusingly in the passage, it pointed out, I guess they haven't heard about the dogs yet. That said, so now we are going to be facing down these enemies. The corrupt guard is my target. He's the one I have to kill. He's got 30 health. I will pop that up there. But first, let's take a look and see what the guards are doing. Guards and archers, I should say, as there's a whole mess of enemies in this room, all going before 70, which is excellent. So they'll be able to move up. City archers doing a calculated strike works out very well. They're just moving up 1. I still have 3 more points of movement with the brain, so I can get him out of the way and not have to worry about taking any attacks. Likewise with the corrupt city guards, who are we already knew they were psyching up. That's both the corrupt city guard and the regular city guards, just moving to and strengthening themselves. So we are still in the middle of Rita's turn, still in the middle of the movement she granted the Plague Herald, who does have 3 more movement. Just kind of looking, the archers are going to be moving up 1, so he'll move here. He'll be able to threaten these 3 spots with a range 4 attack. This guy moving here will be able to threaten these 2. So safest thing for me to do, I've got 3 more movement. I'll just use 2 to backtrack over here. That'll keep me still able to target people in the room, but not have to worry about getting attacked. Now, with the other card Rita played, she is able to do a 2 attack at range 4. So I'm going to target guard number 2, try and bring him down a bit. Nothing too special, just a 2 attack with Muddle, but it is going to be exactly the card we're looking for to keep our songs in play, so that is excellent. Just 1 damage, but that was more about getting off an attack than dealing damage. I get my choice of note, either a base or a treble, knowing that I'm looking forward to hopefully potentially putting Thrilling Solo into play, and I will be generating a treble note next turn. Those are the only options I've got. That being the case, I will go ahead, generate base note, and now I can do her end of turn effects. I'll go ahead and hit the same guard I hit before, so that is going to be just 2 damage as I pierce through the shields, and then it's just a question of whether or not I want to push him back, or do I want the guards to bunch up. And just kind of doing a lot of calculating, I think it will serve me better if he is in this spot, kind of blocking the path of the corrupt guard a little bit, slowing him down, putting him where I want him positioned. Now the archers are up, and one quick change. I actually decided I'm actually only going to push this guy back 1 instead of 2. That'll kind of position things optimally for me in terms of where this guy ends up. So now with the archers, he'll just move forward 1. He'll move forward 1. He'll move forward 1. None of them able to get, this is range 4 as far as they go. So my guys are protected. Then we will go ahead and move on to the guards. So City Guard going to strengthen himself. I'll just put the strengthen on him and not everybody else. He is going to go ahead and move 2. And then this guy will go ahead and go 1, 2. This guy will move into the door. And last but not least, this guy will move over here. Now we've got lots of nice big groupings of enemies, but more importantly, a nicely mapped out path for my pox. And again, you can see for the non-elite city guards, still 2 movement, so nobody's getting off any attacks. Now it is time to spread the plague and give the gift of pox. With Path of the Pox, it's always the season of giving when you're the Plague Herald. Starting here, I'm going to go with this guy that I've damaged already first, and then jumping from him over here within 3, then to here, then to here. So let me pox up those guys. That'll give him 2 XP, and then I've gone ahead and given him his 1 XP up to 8 for the next ability he's going to use. So I can target 1 normal elite enemy. So I'm pretty sure I could target this guy, but it doesn't really matter. Actually, rather than move him up, I'll move another guy back. I'm going to target this city guard with the Rabid Bite. So he has 1 movement. He will move towards this guy, who is not yet plagued, and then he'll go ahead, strengthen. He's already strengthened, so no, as I said, doesn't really hurt me there. And then he'll go ahead and attack his buddy. And the irony is not lost on me that they're talking about feeding us to the dogs. They are the ones who are rabid, not the dogs. They should have been more concerned about each other. So here comes the rabid bite. 5 attack with advantage is either going to be a 0 or a 0, but that's still 5 damage against the shield. Going to knock it from 8 down to 4. And because you can never have too much plague, the attack will also plague the target. So now we've got 5 of the 7 enemies plagued up, ready to hopefully take lots of damage next turn. Now Helo's up, and yeah, fun that I've got multiple options, and kind of had to think this one through. Which do I want to do? I could do the other way around, which is to move 4, go up next to the guard, transfer my poison to him, and then go ahead and attack him for 4 and immobilize. Or I can do it the other way around, which I think is the way I'm going to do it. I'm just going to use a generic movement in my boots so I can move 3. 1, 2, 3 gets me into here. And then I can go ahead and grant movement to the Plague Herald. Well, first I'll do my attack. But the reason I'm thinking this way is as long as I've got Rita going fast next turn, she's going to be going on 5. That is going to close it off so that the guards are not going to be able to advance. Create a nice bottleneck at the door. So that being the case, we'll go ahead and move him up. Well, not yet. Again, I have to first do Helo's 3 attack. So this attack, just straight up, is going to be a +1. So 4 against the shield, 3 damage. Now granting movement to the brain, who will move into position and then go ahead and do his attack. Also a 3 attack. And I was going to say, actually, one of my thinking, I wanted him to attack because he's got those blesses in his deck, and this is a good opportunity, whereas he next turn is going to be doing biting gnats probably. So yeah, that works out really well, as that is going to be 6 against the 1 shield, so 5 damage. Round 13, this should be a fun round. I may have the potential I may take a lot of damage based on what the enemies are doing, because I'm not going to run away. But I also have the potential to just cause a lot of havoc. Thinking of using some abilities I don't normally use. I'm looking at the Plague Herald. I'm looking at you biting gnats and mass poison. We shall see, but Rita's going to be going very fast, so I can take out the guard in front of me and potentially get off another attack. Helo well positioned to heal himself and also get some attacks off. He'll get some assisted movement from the Soothsinger. Should be able to get him into position. That will also put him at risk. If I get, I mean, he's going to be at 15 health, so we'll see what the enemies are doing, see if I feel a bit squeamish about my choices, or if I just decide to go for it. We're on 5/16/38. The enemies going... All right, so the archers are setting a trap on 14. So not big attacks, but always have to think about how that's going to affect me, where those traps are going to go. City guards with a throwing axe. That's not great. Since they're all going to be in range, probably. All right, well, as I said, probably a lot of attacks coming in, but let's see what I can do with it. As usual, though, let's simplify by starting with the things I can't control. Before Rita goes, Steely Dan will come up and go ahead and do an attack on the guard. This will be a 3 attack. I just need to not miss. I did not miss, and once again, get to keep my songs into play. Excellent. So that is going to take that guy out. And now as we get into Rita's turn, time to make some decisions in terms of what I want to do, who I want to send where. Actually, even before I get to that, I might as well kick things off with the Echoing Aria. I'll go ahead and attack number 2 down here that I've already done some damage to. Maybe I'll get lucky. Let's see. That is going to be +1, so 2. I do 1 damage to him. Oops, forgot to put our cards up. There they are. I was thinking I'd be in a position to be able to use Onward to Battle on Helo. He could attack from 2 away with his weapon, but he can only use that on his turn. So unfortunately, not going to be able to get in that other attack. That's going to do it for her main turn. So still in the situation of not having that many choices. Her Dissonant Rhythm attack is going to have to be against the closest guard. So that will be a 2 attack with Pierce. Is going to be 3 damage. So that'll bring him from 9 down to 6. So in this situation, I do have the ability to push, but I think I'm better off leaving him where he is. I'm not sure it makes that much a difference either way. He'll be able to get in range and attack somebody. So we'll just leave him there. With Mobilizing Measure, I do not want to move any closer. As is, I'm taking enough attacks. If I move Helo into the door frame, he is going to take 6 attacks, potentially. And that would be bad because he's poisoned. So I will stay where I am. This way the attacks are going to go on other characters instead. Steely Dan, hopefully he can take a couple hits. So now resolving the city archers going first. The elite doesn't need to move. He is going to go ahead and do a 3 attack against Steely Dan. And that is going to be -2, so just 1 damage with Pierce. So Steely Dan will take it. He's down to 4. Then he is going to set a trap. He'll do it right here in the door. Benefit to that is not going to help me this turn with the guards ranged, but when they have to move, they will move into the trap. It's the only way they can get to me. Next archer is this one, who again, range 5, also going to once again attack Steely Dan. This will be a 2 attack. +1, so that is 3 damage. I will use the Warden's Robe to reduce it, so he only takes 1 damage. Now, unfortunately, I did not plan this out very well. I did not expect all these range attacks coming, although I probably should have been a little bit better prepared, only being at 2 health. And knowing I'm fighting archers, this guy's going to attack Steely Dan. So it is, or sorry, not going to attack Steely Dan. He doesn't have line of sight. He's going to attack the Brain, who only has 2 health. So unless I get a -1 or a miss, this is going to be very painful. A 2 attack, it's a +1. The only card in my hand is a med pack, which means I do have to lose 2 cards from my discard pile. The cards I'm going to lose are going to have to be Rabid Bite and Blistering Buboes. I cannot afford to play another lost card. If I want to work towards my personal goal, then I have to find a way of not exhausting. That is going to be very challenging, but I will at least give myself a chance to do it. So I lose those 2 cards to prevent the damage, and that is going to do it for the archer turn. Oh, except, of course, he does get to place a trap, so it is going to go there, and fortunately I can move in a different direction. Well, I thought it was going to be fun to do this the other way around and poison and muddle everything in the place, getting all of the enemies. I'm still not sure that it was actually a good idea. I think that would have been a bad idea. So saved from the Brain's own over-scheming foolish plans, as instead I do have to move. So that much is certain because these guards are coming in and I do not want to take the attacks. So what I'm going to do is instead I will use Biting Gnats to go ahead and attack. I will give poison to Rita so that I can hit an extra target. Actually, I'm going to give it to Steely Dan because he is going to be the first target of the guards who are attacking for 4. The only way he's going to survive is with a miss, with or without the poison, so might as well put it on him. For the Biting Gnats, I am going to go ahead and target these 3, although I could go further away, but well, let's see how it goes. I'll start with this guard who is not yet plagued, and that is going to be just a 1 attack, -1, so no damage, but he does have the plague. Against the next guard, it is going to be okay. That is a very good result, a 2 and a stun, so 1 damage, and he is stunned. And last, I'll go ahead and hit the guy over here, since I'm certainly not going to be playing a card that's going to do more damage based on number of plague tokens. So that attack at least has a chance of doing some damage. Yeah, +1, so I do get to do 1 damage. Of course, I realized by giving Steely Dan, I actually give him a better chance of surviving. I'm going to use 2 movement to back up over here, and then I can go ahead and give 2 shields to Steely Dan since he's poisoned. Also, let us not forget that all of these enemies are now muddled. Also a result of the biting gnats, so that'll be all the archers for next turn, and the one guard attacking this turn will have his strength neutralized, so he'll just be doing a straight up attack against Steely Dan. Next up will be the Corrupt City Guard, who is just going to move up 2, and not within range, so no attack from him. And that will do it for him. The stunned guy obviously not going to go. Then the other guy doesn't need to move. He does have line of sight on Steely Dan. So here we go. A straight up 4 attack against the poison. So a 5 attack, but there are 2 shields. So there's a chance. There is a chance of Steely Dan going up in a blaze of glory. So much for him. He dead. Alright, finally Helo's up, and I have my work cut out for me. At least it looks like the boss is going to be moving up, hopefully moving into that trap. I am going to need to... Well, first I'll go ahead and heal myself. That seems worthwhile. I'll get rid of my poison, back up to full, and then I will go ahead and use, even though it's just for 1 attack, I'll use the Iron Spear so I can at least get some damage in, hopefully doing a 2 attack against this guard over here. And that is going to be +1, so it's 3, so that is 2 damage. Last thing for the round, Rita does need to take short rest. I'm going to leave both her songs into play since I'll have 4 cards in hand after the rest. I would have lost Thrilling Solo, but that's the card I very much want to play next round. So I did take the damage down to 3 and ended up losing Increased Cadence instead. Round 14, and at this point, I just need to go really slow. I'm going to have Helo on 83, Rita on 60. Hopefully the elite guard will move up into the trap to attack me, get me in good position to start beating him down, because he's at 30. In order to win the scenario, I have to get him down to 0. I have my work cut out for me to try and do everything I can to keep the brain around for as long as possible. I am going to have him long rest. And moving over to Xhaven, finding out for the enemies. Nothing special for the guards, so that's good news. And then the archers, that is bad news. Attacking multiple targets, that's really bad news. It's definitely going to be tight at this point, but all we can do is play it out and see what happens. So we will start with the big guy, who at least going to do us a little bit of a favor as he walks into this 3 damage trap. That'll bring him down to 27. So we are on our way. Every little bit helps. Then he'll go ahead and he'll attack Helo. It will be a 4 attack. Nothing special here. Just got to see what happens. Just 4 damage. Now the other city guards are going to move up, and unfortunately, they're both going to be able to get to Helo as well, as they will both be attacking for 3. So first attack is for 4 damage, another one for 4 more damage. That's 8 damage. Next up are the archers doing the twin bolts. So this guy will move up, and he will attack both Helo and Rita. So it'll be a 3 attack with disadvantage. So against Helo is going to be 5 damage. Gonna have to lose a card for that. That'll be Hamstring. And I was about to do the attack against Rita, but then I realized, looking over the card again, they don't have movement. So there is some grace in that. Actually, that is going to save my ass. So I'm just going to move him back 1. He is not within range. It's just a range 4 attack. So there is that at least. Now we can move on to the other archers. This guy not in range of anybody. This guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, is going to be able to hit Helo at disadvantage, 2 attack. So either a ×2 or a 0. It'll be a 0. So that's 1 more. That's 2 more damage to Helo. He's down to 1. Okay, having survived the enemies, and that could have been a lot worse, I suppose. Not that it was particularly good, but I am now going to go ahead. Helo's actually going to have to lose 2 cards, so that is going to be Hamstring and Hack to Bits. All right, well, having just barely survived the enemy attacks, that is quite a bit of damage, quite a bit of cards lost, but we do have a chance to fight back a bit now, as starting with Rita, yeah, I think my best bet here is definitely to get Thrilling Solo into play, so I can first move an ally. I will move the Plague Herald back here so that he can get some loot around the table. That'll happen on his long rest, but I'll just grab it now anyway. And that will generate the base note I need to get Thrilling Solo into play. End of return, Rita will be able to do 2 attacks. They're both going to be against the boss. All our damage has to be on him now. We just have to get him down before they kill us. All right, here's hoping for something good. First attack, they're both 2 attacks. First one is going to be +2. That is good. So that's 4 damage. Second attack is just a 0, but that's 2 more damage. I'm not going to push him. I want him there in range. So that is going to be 6 total damage. Mobilizing measure, I'm not going to move anybody, and I'm actually going to backtrack. I am not going to move the brain. I'm just going to leave him where he is because I need him to be next to Helo so that he can get a med pack. Just try and prolong his life. So that is going to be it for Rita's turn, and now Helo's up. Unfortunately for Helo, no damage queued up, no healing, because I think better to disarm the elite and give a med pack to the brain. And again, he could move, but at this point, we're in it, so just going to stay right there. For the brain's long rest, he will get rid of biting gnats and get a couple items back, and I will let him heal back up to 4. That's going to do it for the round. Last thing is Rita's songs will kick down. Actually, we do have to do some short rests. Rita's songs will tick down, and I will let mobilizing measure go. No, also the medical pack that the brain got was the one that lets him safeguard himself. Both Rita and Helo need to take short rests, and those are the cards they ended up losing. Both fast initiative, but going for broke, I actually have to take a little chance. I want to make sure that the Plague Herald goes before them next turn, so that's fine. Okay, so here is the spread for round 15. I've got the Plague Herald going first with Rot Maggots, so he'll be able to throw out a poison attack, or 2, I guess, if he wants. Although it doesn't really matter. Although, no, these guys are both at 4, so I could potentially take one of them out. That would certainly be worthwhile. Then I've got Rita going on 21, Helo on 25. Of course, I want them going after I'm able to poison the boss so that I can maximize the amount of damage I'm dealing. I could be doing some hit and run attacks. I'm going to be doing a lot of attacks this turn. I think there's actually a chance I might be able to take the guy out this round. But, of course, we need to see when the enemies are going. All right, moment of truth. Can we go before the enemies? Avoid the dreaded 15 initiative for the guards. Okay. Steady Archers, nothing special on 31. So that is good news. And then a Psych Up from the City Guards on 55. And I might be able to move my people out of the way of these attacks after kind of do a hit and run thing, but it may not even be necessary. If I take out the guard, let's see what happens. So the Plague Herald is up first, and he will go ahead and use Rot Maggots to attack. We'll go for these 2 enemies. We'll go for these 2. We'll go for the guy that's more plagued. Not sure that it really matters, but yeah. So I am going to have to poison somebody to do that. We'll poison Helo because I'll then be able to give him some better shields. So first the attack on the boss, which will poison him after the attack. It is going to be a 4 attack against 2 shields. And +1 is a 5, so 3 damage. He's down to 18, and we are on our way. Second attack against this guard, another 4 attack, and if we can get a +1, we could take him out, okay, so +1 healing. Guess I will probably, I could give that to the Sawbones. Sure, we'll get rid of his poison. I mean, still only at 1 health, so does it really matter? But there's that. And then, unfortunately, not enough damage to take him out. He's down to 1. Then with 3 movement, I will go ahead, and now he will go up here and get this loot. And he will go ahead. Oh, I guess I don't want to heal the poison, right, because I want to be able to then give him shields. So, yeah, we'll just do the healing to nobody, actually, because I don't want to heal Rita. I want her to be at 3 so that if she needs to, she can walk into a trap to exhaust. So now Rita's up, and I could go the other way around, could try and see if I could finish this guy off this turn with 4 more attacks, though he does have the shields against 2 of them. I think what I'm going to do instead, since I know I can avoid taking any attacks this round, is just slow play it a little bit. I am going to go ahead and strengthen, Rita will strengthen herself, so that'll last for her attacks this round and next round if needed. And then with the move 5, she'll also strengthen Helo. Then with the move 5, she will go back and grab this coin, getting her safely out of range of any attacks. And now it is going to be her time for her end of turn effects, which is, of course, the thrilling solo double attacks with dissonant rhythm. These attacks, of course, will be against the boss, the guy we are trying to take down, with the 2 pierce and poison. It's a base of 3 with advantage, either a ×2 or keep my songs in play. I'll just take the ×2 and I'll do 6 damage. Second attack is going to be either +1 and strengthen an ally, or a miss. Well, yeah, we'll take the +1, so that's another 4 damage. No allies to strengthen. Next up is Helo, who is going to hack away at this poor, unsuspecting, corrupt guard, as he is going to take his bloody saw to him. That will gain the benefits. Still got that. I actually forgot that I had left it in play when I was taking rests and maybe getting cards back, but for the better, that the prescription is still out. So this will be a 4 plus the poison, a 5 attack, and it'll wound, and it's at advantage. So either, okay, so that'll be nice. That's going to apply, and then it's either a +1 or a +1. So sure, we'll take the +1 as well as the heal 3, which, yeah, again, I guess I'm not going to use. And why did I keep my poison around? That was completely unnecessary since I'm not getting attacked. All right, I'll just use the 3 heal to. That's anybody, right? Yeah, it's not an ally. It's within range 1, so he'll just heal himself, get rid of the poison. And so that was a 5 plus 1 is 6 against the 2 shields, is 4 damage, bringing the boss down to 4. Then with his movement, Helo's not going too far, wants to be able to get back and attack, so he'll just go 1, 2, 3. And that is going to be the end of his turn, and he'll gain an XP. Now the archers are up, doing nothing special, so just moving 2, looking to get within range 4. So starting with the elite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're fine from him. Then for this guy down here, he will go 1, 2, and then he'll move up 1, 2, and that is going to do it for them. And you can tell that these guards are getting psyched up because they think we're running away right towards the kennel. They are very excited at this idea that the dogs, which are just up around here, the corner, are going to take us out. Bad news for you guys, but in any event, they are going to go ahead and each move 2, starting with the boss, who of course will take a wound damage first, and he will lead the charge, followed by, I guess this guy is not going to go through the trap, so he'll just go here. This guy will go here, and that's going to be it for them. Last order of business for the round, a couple of short rests for Rita and the Plague Herald. Rita also, before that happens, I let both of her songs go. Well, one of them ticked down. She gains an XP for that. And so now we can finish things off with the final round. Actually, one last bit of business for round 15. I did decide to have Helo take a short rest as well, shuffle the vaccine back into the mix, just so that if I need to lose some cards to take some damage, not to mention get the vaccine back so I can have that 15 initiative, make sure I'm going before the guards go. Card I randomly lost was this one. And so here you can see what I'm doing this round, going super fast. Want to try and have Rita be the first to exhaust. Obviously need to make sure I take the boss out, and just make sure that at least one of my characters stays alive. Should be able to pull that off. Checking the enemies, they are going after me, so that's good. A City Archer with a Hasty Assault on 16, Corrupt City Guard, and the regular City Guard with Throwing Axes. And for Rita, I'm going to have her strengthen Helo and the Brain, and then she will just use 2 movement to move herself down here, and that is going to do it for her turn. Next up is Helo. He is going to go ahead and drop down here, where he can then do a 3 attack plus 1 from the poison, so a 4 attack, and it will be at advantage. And so that is going to be either a +1 or a +1, and that is going to be good enough to take out the boss. And so now we just have to survive out to the end of the round. Next up will be the Brain, who will see if he can't take out this guard who's poisoned and down to 1 health. Pretty sure he's good here. Even with a -2, he's going to be able to get the job done, but we'll see. It is either going to be a +1 or a miss. It's a +1. That is going to take him out, so he'll gain an XP, and then also be able to put a curse into their deck. And tempting as it would be to run down and get some of that loot, I do not want him in the line of fire, so that Rita can exhaust first, so he is just going to move further away, and that is going to be it for his turn. Finally, we'll finish things off with the City Archers. So this first guy doesn't need to move. He is going to do a range 4 attack against Rita. We are fine with that. She wants to show her weakness. So this attack is going to be, that is going to be 4 damage, which is sadly, but not too sadly, going to be enough to take her out. And we will let her go, and now she has achieved her battle goal. So now, there still are some more attacks incoming. Yeah, there's actually multiple attacks incoming. So you know what? I'm actually going to lose a card to prevent that, and I'll let somebody else do the next attack. So I had 1 card left in hand. We'll just let it go. Here comes the next attack from this guy, who will move up here so that he has line of sight and range. And his attack is going to be a +1, so that will take her out. Okay, so that done. The last one will go ahead and fire at Helo, and that is just going to be 2 damage, but since he's only at 1, he should be at higher, but I'll go ahead and lose a card for him. That's it for the Archers. Last up, the sole surviving guard will throw a knife at Helo. How uncouth. And that would also take him out, but he's got 1 card left, which he will lose. And that will be the end of the scenario. And so we have completed the scenario. We have rooted out the corruption, or have we? Afterwards, as we were kind of celebrating our victory, having given our report, we were approached by a merchant who warned us that perhaps Captain Harmon is no better in terms of his corruption and being in charge, and so we'll have to see what we decide to do with that. But he did give us some gold. Is that a bribe? I don't know. He paid for our drinks, but we each got 15 gold, which... not going to say no to that. +2 faction with the merchants, +2 faction with the city guard, -1 faction with the merchant. We also got to add a city event, having gone up to 9 faction with the merchants. So well, that's shuffled in. We'll see when it shows up. But interesting stuff as the story continues to develop. Let's take a look at how the characters did. So this was quite the scenario for Rita. First of all, she got her level up with 29 XP, but also she ended up with a total of 81 gold scenario. So she's up to 131. She could potentially do that enhancement next round, which, depending on how things work out, could happen. She just, she'd have to sell off an item or two to get up to 150. But I might not mind doing that. Meanwhile, as we said, she completed her battle goal. That's part of the reason everyone got the extra 8 XP on top of the 12 for the scenario. So things looking really good for Rita. Next, we've got Helo, who picked up 30 XP. He's still in between levels. Decent amount of gold. He picked up 20 in coins plus another 15, so he's up to 46 gold. Might be able to afford an enhancement or an upgrade. We shall have to see. Other than that, no perk yet, just another check mark towards there. And the biggest thing is he picked up another 6 votes. So from the faction increase and also from the 3 items he bought. So with 40 votes now, I think he's ready. And having helped out, root out this corruption, we'll ignore the fact that there might be more. Look, the merchants wanted to get rid of and overthrow the council, which he's running for, so I stand by my decision to side with the city guard. We'll see how we feel about it once he's on the city council. If he can indeed get elected, we'll find out next time. Finally, the Brain did manage. He also picked up 30 XP. Not as much gold, 8 from coins, 15 from the reward, so he's up to 27. He did get a level up, so he'll be leveling up to level 5, and just by the skin of his teeth did manage to advance his personal quest. So now 6 times he has been at half health or lower. See if we can keep that streak going. So there you go. That's going to do it for Scenario 18 Investigation. If you chose a different path with the Merchants of the Demons, haven't had a chance to see this, well, there you go. And if you have, well, hope you enjoyed the way that I went through it and went about it. Next session should be interesting, as Helo will run for city council. I am thinking about it with Rita. I am not going to have her retire just yet. She's going to hit level 6. I'd like to see what her level 6 card is. Give that a try. Don't know what scenario I'm going to do yet. That remains to be seen. But that is going to do it for this episode. Again, if you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Give me your comments. Let me know what you think. Again, if you have thoughts on directions you want me to see me go, different scenarios you might want me to explore, I think at some point I'm going to go through and take a look at all the scenarios I've got available. But for now, as always, until next time, and thanks for watching.